So I'm going to attempt to do some interactive technology now. Let's hope it works. So I'm going to bring up Slido. So you will all have been sent an email to say this is the bit where you get the opportunity to interact, and we can bring it up visually on the screen. So bear with me as I click about and hopefully get it up for you all. She says. Aha, there we are. So if everybody's happy to join Slido, you can scan the QR code for those of you that are smart device enabled. But if not, if you link onto Slido, that is the room code to be able to join for us to be able to share some feedback. You can obviously see I've been testing it out, hence the test. So the first one is, how can the pathway support us in our current practice? So we've got this excellent resource that we're about to start to access. How can that help, and then how can we embed that into our current practice? There we are. So training, yeah. So supports us with our skills and our knowledge. We've got the code, so someone's putting the code into the chat. Improving confidence, evidence-based practice, consistency, yeah, particularly not just for Bristol but across the region. I can see some people getting frustrated trying to access it. Thinking about sharing knowledge, cascading knowledge. Confidence is the one that's coming up time and time again and quite big. Thinking about planning interventions, yeah, for those that experience or cause harm. Strategic development, so we've got some strategic people in the room clearly as well. I think the biggest thing that's coming out from lots of people, because I can tell that people are online and in the room are doing it, is that confidence and consistency. So having the right confidence, feeling empowered as professionals to support children and families in the right way. We're quickly running out of time, so I'm going to move us on to the next question. Apologies for those that I can see there's still 8 people typing, but just to move us on to the next one. You need to type quicker is my point. Not with these either, Chris. So the next question along, which is not moving along too. So we know, don't we, when we try and embed any form of new resource or kind of training into our kind of practice, there might be barriers to that. We know that. But actually what I'm wanting people, it's not moving along. It did for a minute and then it decided not to. So what are the solutions? What do people start to think the solutions might be?
There's a gremlin in there.
There's a gremlin in the system, Bowen.
You have to make the first one not active.
Let's try that.
Okay.
Usually it just moves along. Is that working? Thank you.
Yeah.
Solution focus. See, there we go. Great example of it. So what solutions might we have to those barriers we might think to embedding that in our practice? I knew this was going to be the bit that didn't go successfully. Yeah, language. Yeah. So working groups. Yeah, so thinking about how we might have that in our setting and across the kind of safeguarding system. Knowledge, yeah. Multi-agency working. That one for me should be the biggest one, but there we go. Training. Good job you got the KBSP trainer in the room then. Sharing training and knowledge, meeting the child where they're at. So that obviously resonated then. Colin, we've got that up there. Takeaway for the day. Lots of things around trauma-informed kind of practice and training as well. There is trauma-informed training available for everyone across the city now, just to touch on that, just as a little promotion point now whilst I'm in the room. Okay, so training, confidence, training and knowledge, multi-agency working, listening being some of the key ones that are coming out, and keeping families at the centre, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to ask the last question now then. This is going to be open to anyone in the room to answer, particularly those colleagues from the Centre of Expertise and anyone that's worked on the pathway. So do people have any other questions about the pathway that they wanted to share on the screen today? If we're not able to get to all of them and answer them, we certainly can try and do that after the event, but it's just a visual way of people thinking about some questions they might have from today's event. How do we arrange training? So the CSA Centre of Excellence Expertise, have put I've put the training details for that, and the Keeping Bristol Safe Partnership have a dedicated training page. So for those of you that haven't visited the KBSP website, please do. We're also about to launch an electronic management system that will enable any colleague to book their training for a variety of courses, and that does include thinking about sexual abuse in the family and in the community as part of that KBSP offer. Just to touch on our safeguarding education team, colleagues also do offer training to our education workforce, so theirs is available on their website as well, as soon as that question was asked. Lots of other questions. Can you come into the schools to deliver staff training? There you go, I've just given an indication of some of the resources available around training for that. Quality assurance. Did anyone else want to come in on that instead of myself?
In terms of the research and review about the pathway.
Yeah, so I think that people are saying, how will it be reviewed and how will we know it's effective in practice across the city?
Yeah, so the centre are going to continue to review keep the pathway up to date. So with changes to practice, it'll be reviewed every 6 months, is it?
Every 6 months.
Every 6 months. So the links will take you to the live documents that continue to be reviewed, and that'll be held nationally by the centre with their experts across the different sectors. In terms of in Bristol, we'll be linking it to the South West Child Protection Procedures. You'll also be able to access the pathway and resources through the KBSP website under professional resources, so that should go live by the beginning of next week. South West Child Protection Procedure is going to take a little bit longer because we need to get that adopted right across the South West, but we'd hope to have that in the next few months. And we did some benchmark auditing at the beginning of this project and did some multi-agency audits which highlighted some of the challenges we're hoping to solve and see differently for children and families. So we'll be continuing to do that again over the next year or two to see what progress we're making. But it's also about hearing from families and young people. You know, we had real powerful testimony from Jen today and from some of the resources from the Young People's Voice group. We want to hear from young people and families, start to hear how things look differently. Sadly, those experiences they're experiences we've heard before, so we need to make sure that when we're hearing back from our communities and our families that we start to see that kind of burden, those trends and themes shift and change. Did you want to say anything, Jane?
Yeah,
on that?
I want to say, hold on to that enthusiasm, because it's taken us a while to write it. We've done all the revisions, and now we're implementing it. And we will need to see how it works in practice, and we'll be coming to talk to you about it at some place or other. So we'll be asking people for focus groups, and we want to know how this works in practice, because you can come up with a good idea, can't you? And you can spend a lot of your life doing it. But does it make a difference? We think it will, we hope it will, but we need some feedback. I just wanted to also ask that this is a guide for professionals. We haven't been commissioned by the Home Office to do one for families. We'd love to, absolutely love to, and there's no reason. I mean, there is already a guide to child sexual abuse in Bristol, isn't there, for families?
The Greenhouse have worked on.
Greenhouse has worked on. So that's something we'll just have to keep in mind, because we'd love to have something for children actually and families, but at the moment that'll have to be next stage.
So we're going to keep compiling all your questions, so do keep adding them to Slido. We'll be compiling a response to the questions asked today and circulating them to people who've attended alongside with the slides from today. And the videos from professionals. You'll understand why our contact from Janet won't be shared. It's got family information on there. But there are opportunities, I think, to hear the voices of survivors through some of the other research produced through the Greenhouse, through projects like Blue Star and some of the other projects. So we'll make sure that you have opportunities for that as well. I'm going to bring today's event to a close. It's been fast-paced. We've been here for 2.5 hours together. I think we could have spent 2.5 weeks together really getting into the nitty-gritty of what we want to do differently for Bristol. But what I feel really inspired by is the hope, the enthusiasm, the opportunities to build on what we've got here, the opportunity for all of us to really start prioritising child sexual abuse as it should be. There is a risk, and we see it in our child protection numbers, that we end up mirroring the secrecy that comes into child sexual abuse within our professional networks and within our own challenges around shame and embarrassment and trauma that comes into working with child sexual abuse. And so this is an opportunity for us to pledge as a city that this is a place that is safer, because we will talk about child sexual abuse, and because it's a place where it's okay to talk about sexual abuse, and we'll keep working together to find collaborative ways to move forward as a partnership and acknowledge that sexual abuse does happen here. It happens in families right across our communities, it happens in organisations and friendship groups and family networks, and So unless we are able to confront that and make sure that we are able to recognise that sexual abuse is not just about those children who are in the small number of children who are in the criminal justice system or who are on child protection plans. It's a much broader experience. We hope that some of what you've heard today has given you some confidence to kind of think about what you can do. This is not just about, there is obviously Pathway there to help you navigate what are complex professional systems. We'll keep trying to look at alignment and stuff. But this is not about waiting or handing over to the police and social care. There are opportunities for all of us to come together to contribute to the health and wellbeing outcomes of children. And ultimately, that is our priority. We want children to have access to the criminal justice system. We want to make sure they're safeguarded through the orders that are available to us. But the reality is that our main focus for children should be around their emotional well-being, their access to support resources for them and their family. And I think you've heard today how at every stage we can make that easier for people. And so it's how we take incremental steps, and we hope that these resources give you an opportunity to do that and move it forward. So I'm just going to finish with some thank yous. Firstly, I'd like to thank Jen for coming up here and really making real to all of us what the experience of a child and a family who've experienced sexual abuse is like. And I know that would have been painful for a lot of us in the room who want our services to be better and look better, and it is important for us to hear that. And so thank you so much for having the courage to do that in this room, and we really appreciate it. And I think it's really brought home the message for why things need to look different and why we need to keep plugging away. I'd also like to thank the contributions of our survivors who made the I don't know if I can say Miktika video. I did practice it, now I've lost it, but yeah, that fantastic video today, and which I think highlights the power of participation. We've heard a lot about the importance of empowerment, advocacy, participation, being heard, people claiming their own story, and opportunities for that across the city for our children and young people being so important. And so an opportunity to kind of promote and think about where young people have the opportunity to shape their own language and own stories about their experiences. And knowing that shifts and changes for young people and adults as survivors, and their experience and how they understand their sexual abuse, experiences of sexual abuse will change over time, as all of our identities do. So it's not static, and we'll need to interface in different ways as professionals and support people at different times. I want to say thank you to our colleagues, Liz and Jane from the Centre of Expertise around Child Sexual Abuse, and Michelle and Stephen for your contributions as well around our sexual abuse resources and Pathway, and for coming today and continuing to support us on our journey forward. And to all of our speakers right across from, I hope what you got a sense of today is this is collaboration. You have from health colleagues, from education, from social care, from police, from our voluntary sector. This is a really complex network that wrap around children who experience trauma. We know that's true of a lot of types of child abuse. It's particularly true around child sexual abuse, and we do need to, no one part of this system can respond in isolation. So really appreciate, hopefully, the visibility of that today and everyone's collective endeavours. Thank you to police colleagues for supporting us with the venue and the tech for those of you online. So I'm going to bring today to a close and remind everyone, spent a morning listening to some difficult information, important information. I hope you're leaving feeling empowered and excited to go and do things differently, but also take a moment to ground yourself, check in, look after yourself, and take a moment to think about what's in your control, what would you like to do differently, notice that's different about your practice in this area 2 months down the line, 6 months down the line. Where would you like to be in your own practice and as an organisation next year? Thanks very much.